Healing crystals, skincare routines, knitting a sweater, fitting in jeans. With Katie and Sarah, no need to worry, you're on a lady journey.
Hello and welcome to Lady Journey. Hello. We're just having a little tea here.
Just a
and
light tea
it is
break.
So soothing.
I have this thing called game changers. Going to the restroom during the day when you can't find one. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yes.
where you're like, my day prior to it was awful. After it was amazing. So it's a game change.
Yes.
So tea is a game changer.
It totally is. And we had a little cookies too, everybody, just so you know. I had 2 Milanos and 1 cookie by Tony Deo that was delicious.
Tony Deo is our private cookie guy.
He's a private neighbor.
No, he's a very talented comic, and I can recommend him if you guys like clean comedy.
Yes.
There's nothing offensive, and that sounds like I'm shitting on him.
Yeah, if you like it.
Well, I have to say, because a lot of times when I want to recommend a comic, I'm like, this person I know from my high school years is uber religious, and so they can't watch this person.
Yes,
So
I once invited a religious person to watch me, and I could tell they were upset. I could really tell that I was talking about slinging dick. I don't even know what.
I know, and you're like, oh, I forgot that I completely make fun of Jesus.
Whoops.
Oops.
And you're doing one of my favorite hacks right now. Can I say, I don't know if we have talked about this on an episode of Lady Journey or not, but I feel like we have. But you have a thrifted cashmere.
Guys,
and it's gorgeous.
If you see cashmere out there as a sweater, get it.
Ugh, if you're at the Buffalo Exchange, you're making me want to go to Buffalo Exchange and just thrift a little piece of cashmere.
It's
because
a good quality, because it's a good quality material, and I don't know, you can't ever go wrong with it.
It's easy to take care of. You really
goes with
just
everything.
hand wash everything. And then the thing about thrifting cashmere is, like, if you have a cashmere sweater and something happens to it, you're devastated. But if you thrift it and then there's a little spill, it's like, well, you know what? It was $20.
Yeah.
It wasn't $85.
No biggie.
That's great.
So go out and get it.
So you've been scrolling, Sarah. I heard you've been scrolling.
I've been scrolling. I think I briefly mentioned how I get up in the morning, and I'm not proud of it. We said we were making fun of people that wake and bake, and I wake and
Yes.
I scroll.
Yes.
I do probably close to 30 minutes, and I'm not proud of it, but I have to say it does get me out of the bed. It puts me in a better mood, and then it's TikTok. But the long game of scrolling, I feel like spending that much time on my phone is not really great for my mental health, and I actually have a theory that it's ruined my sex drive.
Really?
I don't know how, and I've heard that millennials or Generation Z is having less sex, and I suspect because we've all been a phone on our generation. I think because I am getting my dopamine other ways and in a quick fix, and usually with any drug thing I think ruins.
I mean,
sounds very personal what I mentioned. Joe and I are having a very nice sex life.
Well,
yes,
I mean,
they are.
I could see, and we are too. And me and Mike have an incredible sex, and it's very adventurous. It's not that adventurous, but we like it. But I think you're right, though. It has something to do with the dopamine, because that's why phones are addicting in the first place. Because you're like, oh, you're getting that little hit.
Yeah, and they know what they're doing. And I think it also ruins my creativity. It doesn't allow me to just sit with an emotion and I'll be creative. Like, I find myself when I'm on a plane, and I like to listen to music because it de-stresses me during turbulence. I don't really like to fly. But when I'm listening to music, I think I end up writing a lot of jokes and sketches because my mind gets to wander.
Yeah.
Where I'm scrolling, I'm just like, blah.
Yeah.
And so I was doing Artist Way for a while, and I forgot what week it is, but it says no reading. And I'm like, well, that's insane.
Yes, that's a tricky one.
And I think she was just meaning, like, when you're sitting down eating breakfast, don't read the back of a cereal box, or like mindlessly reading shit, really like think with your own thoughts or just sit there with them. So I figured the interpretation of that was no scrolling.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I did no scrolling for a week. I did do, I looked at my analytics briefly, which I probably feels like a cheat. But there's that thing of like, I'm just mindlessly scrolling and I'll know when I'm doing it.
And you get sucked
I'm not
in.
taking anything in. I'm just doing it.
Yeah, it's so strange. It's like flipping the TV, you know, like I would always just like flip through every channel. And then after you go through it twice, you're like, well, there's nothing on. But like with TikTok or with Facebook, it's like you're still going.
Yeah. And it never ends.
It never ends. But I find myself doing the same thing. And I find myself doing it when I'm tired and I'm like seeking. And I'm like a little worked up maybe. Maybe I'm like a little like over caffeinated or I'm a little stressed out and I'm like seeking some kind of like release from the stress or like some kind of distraction or like rest.
Yeah.
And it like never really comes. And eventually like I'll go on TikTok. I mean, I think I talked to you about this in a previous episode where TikTok is now, I just feel like I'm getting blindsided by like the pain of the world. So I can't do that one for that long.
There's somewhere I'm like, oh, and when they have a tragic story and then you see like that little gift emoji above the comment, meaning like you can donate money, or when they have their Venmo.
Yeah.
That you're like, oh, they are trying to like get money out.
Right,
from people.
right.
Yeah. It's just bad. I wish I could just do my phone in a healthy way, but I can't.
And it's so hard because it's like, what are you just not going to have a phone?
No, we kind of need it for our business. And I always say, I feel so productive when I put a sketch video online. I'm like, feels like I'm doing something for my career, but in actuality, I think I've negated everything because that whole day I'm just looking at.
I do that too.
My analytics and likes, and
I get like so obsessed with like checking it, and then I'm like spiraling. I'm like, it's been an hour. I only have 2 likes.
Was it a bomb? Yeah. Should I have deleted it? Oh my God! And I accidentally posted it twice because I didn't have the right thumbnail and it didn't make any sense. And I'm like, now I just split my analytics apart. Like, this is just. I feel like it's consumed my mind that it actually makes me depressed.
I really think
in
it
the
does.
long game.
Yeah, it's not healthy. I took Twitter and Instagram off of my phone during the pandemic, each for like about a month. And ever since then, I haven't been as bad at scrolling as I was, but I noticed that I start scrolling like, and this is kind of has to do with my journey because I'm going to talk a little bit about burnout today, but it's like when I get into a place where like, if I get like too run down emotionally, where it's like I'm just pushing myself for too many days in a row, I'll get in kind of like a negative place and I'm tired and I can't really rest. And that's when I start scrolling because it's like, I'm just like, I don't know. It's like emotional eating in a way where it's like, I'm trying to feel better mindlessly. And this isn't helping.
No, because I'll have moments where I want to be like, I want this person out so I can go to my room and I can scroll. It sounds like I'm talking about Joe. But you know what I mean? You were like,
this person who I'm married to.
Yes. Where I'm like, I can't wait for the end of the day so I can go do my weird little habit by myself.
Yes, it's like a little like a security blanket, like a little thumb sucking for the brain.
Yes, it is. It reminds me of exactly. That's what I'm doing because I am secret of it. I feel really bad when I do it. I also have shame to know that if somebody saw my screen time usage, even though I'm quite open about how long I'm on there. One time when I worked in this office, I was a manager at this hotel, and after the morning shift was done, I had to go to, most of my day was on the computer, but most of my job was only done in 2 hours. So all I did was refresh 3 apps over and over every hour.
Yeah.
That I was like, if IT saw this, I'd rather them find out that I've been masturbating to porn.
So like, what's your screen time? Like, how many hours are we talking here?
Well, on a bad week, I can pull in 8 hours. I'm doing a full-time job.
Wow. On screen time.
It's really crazy. I saw the Paris Hilton doc on, I think she put it on her YouTube channel. Her life was sad.
Yeah.
She's by herself all the time. And that's really kind of like a comic in a celebrity's life. If you see a celebrity,
Which we are.
which
both.
we are, yeah, we're just like her.
Yeah.
If you see a celebrity doing Instagram Live all the time by themselves, it's because they're extremely lonely.
Yeah.
They're these people are by themselves. Like I remember seeing Madonna just going through her purse collection in her closet on Instagram Live, and I'm like, like
It's so funny.
somebody go hang out with her.
I know, it's the irony of like you're so famous that you can't be by anyone, but you still like need to be adored.
Yeah.
You know, it's like no one's good enough to hang out with me except for you guys, my fans. But I see so many celebs on TikTok now, just like doing like random stuff. I'm like, didn't you make it? Isn't that the point of making it, that you don't have to be like on TikTok? Like, I think I thought of this. Maybe is this anything?
I know.
It's like, does it ever end?
Well, I know people on TikTok get mad about celebrities being on there. They're like, only a few, because there are certain celebrities that get it and are good at it. Like, I think Alicia Silverstone is really fun on there. But the other ones where you're like, this is for us. And you already made it. Like, you don't need this.
Yeah, like you have everything, Madonna. Do you need to also own TikTok?
I know.
Like, come on. Madonna, like, she can't let anybody have, like, anything.
No.
She's like, I'm the queen of TikTok now. It's like, you're 75. You're 75, Madonna.
You're scaring the kids.
Yeah.
It's like, it's insane. But on the Paris Hilton doc, I think she was on the phone from morning till when she went to bed.
Wow. Yeah, that's not good.
It's a lot.
It's not good for the brain.
No, it's depressing. To know that your life worth is on external likes is awful. And I've gotten that way with like asking myself of why am I doing stand up? And maybe that's why I get depressed about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I bomb, it's because I'm not getting external
validation.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, that's not the right reason to be doing stand up.
Well, the thing about external validation is it's so addictive. It's so addictive that you're like, oh my God, I'll do anything to get that again. That's why I love it when I hear people like they talk about trying stand up for the first time and they were like, and it was just the most incredible experience and I knew I needed to keep doing it. It's like, really, you like, what a surprise. You loved being applauded.
Yeah.
Like if people talk about it like it's this like unique like, but then it's like you end up doing anything to get it. You really are like, if you're at a show and you're bombing, you have like two choices where you're like, well, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing and I'm going to dig in. Or I'm going to like try to figure out the crowd and like do whatever it takes to like keep the show afloat.
Yeah.
And depending on the venue, you know, it's like you might just end up being like, well, now I have no respect for myself because I'm just a hack.
Yeah.
You know?
Because I've had that where I'm like, I know a lot of bookers for comedy clubs will be like, it's your job to make the audience laugh. I'm like, I do, but there are times where I'm not making a connection with them and I can't go change my personality to make people laugh.
And you're not going to be the right comic for every single crowd. Like, that doesn't make sense. And unfortunately, what tends to happen, I think, with stand-up and the entertainment industry and even like any art really, as you get to like more of like a seasoned level, you develop your own uniqueness, but then that uniqueness isn't necessarily accessible to people who are kind of stupid. You know, like it's like you become so good that like no one can really understand you unless they have an experience with comedy.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, this person is actually brilliant. Meanwhile, somebody who's never seen stand-up before and is like kind of a dumb ass. I don't know why I almost censored myself saying that, but like a dumbass, they're like, you know, someone's like talking about like, women are like this, men are like this. They're like, oh my God, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, it's a street joke from the 80s.
Yes.
You know?
It's just like regurgitating the same stuff over and over though. It always amazes me when you see a crowd like just die of laughter over a joke that you've just heard over and over again. That you're like this.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah.
Is this happening? That you guys think this is the first time you're hearing this?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I get so snobby about comedy, and I learn when people are like, "Oh, you do stand up? I love," and then they name like one of like
Groucho Marx. You're like, what? Yeah. That's the thing. It's really disheartening. It's really disheartening when you are doing like a well-crafted joke that's like a critique of society, and then like and it kind of bombs, and you're like, well, and then the person that follows you is like, hey, is this guy gay? And everyone's like, ah!
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, well, that was a hate crime.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what we're into.
Yeah. You're like, I can't do that. No. So I guess the overall thing of like the scrolling, it is kind of maybe working on not depending on external likes.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you don't scroll, then you work on your relationships in your life. Like there are times when I'm with Joe and I'm like, this isn't really great for our relationship, what I'm doing right now.
And I think it's not good. I have a thing where like I don't have the same struggle with scrolling as you do. Because I think like I almost get bored of it. And so I just kind of get sick of it, and I don't do it as much. Like TikTok, I will go on for like, good 30 minutes every now and then.
Oh, mine's
But
bad.
like I don't scroll Twitter, I don't scroll Instagram, but I think when I did do it, I would notice that like I feel like it's so important to have like, and I know for me, especially when I get burnt out, like I need to have like a period of like nothing stimulating me, like just laying in bed, literally staring at the wall.
Yes.
And anything, I start to notice that I get burnt out when I start to get like everything irritates me. I'm like chronically overstimulated. And it's like such a like scary place to be in, because I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I have to keep working, and then like I want to rest, so I'm like scrolling on the phone because I feel like I have to keep doing stuff.
Yes, that feeling. I have that when I'm like, I don't think I've watched a full movie or TV show in my apartment in 10 years without being on the phone.
I will pause and like take a look at the phone. I'll like check my phone more than I do scrolling.
Yes.
But like, yeah, I'm definitely always like, if I tweet something and it's doing well, I'm like, oh, I got to take a look.
Yeah, that's why lately I've been enjoying kind of long plane rides with no Wi-Fi connection, that I'm like, I can actually just sit and watch a movie.
Yeah, it's actually great for you. I think it's really great for your mind to like reacclimate to doing stuff that takes a longer attention span.
Yes, I now consider watching a movie reading a book.
Yeah. Well, if it's a foreign film.
Yes. That's
like
true.
Squid Games, I'm like, I read it. Oh, I read that.
Have you guys read the book Squid Game on subtitles?
It's a brilliant book.
Yeah, it's a great book. What's your
journey? My journey. Well, I've been kind of like scratching the surface of it, just talking about scrolling. But I'm on a journey. It's been a long-term journey of like managing chronic burnout. And during the pandemic, I felt like I really kind of like got out from under it, where I was like resting every day and I wasn't like overworking, and I actually felt the most mentally stable that I ever have in my life during the pandemic, when I was like, okay, I'm not working more than like 4 hours a day, and the rest of the day I'm like spending on like doing wellness practices, exercising, self-care. And then now it's like, now that everything is like really fully back, and it's like, I want to be booking myself. I'm doing like all these like, a variety of tasks every day. And it's so easy to be like, well, maybe today I'll just have like a latte and I'll just push until I get everything done. And then, I think something is happening to me where it's like, I have a reserve of energy. Like I have a set amount of energy every day. And I know like people seem to think like comics like don't really work, but like we just have a different work schedule. Like a lot of my friends, I know like my friends that are like in the entertainment industry, but in like different like facets of it, are like, oh, well, you just do like one show a night. It's like, I get up in the morning, I'm writing the first thing. And then I'm doing like tons of other administrative tasks. And then I do have like a period of like chilling out in the afternoon. But then it's like, sometimes I'm doing shows that the show starts at midnight. It's like my biggest moment of my day is at like 1 a.m.
Most people are bed.
Yeah, people are like asleep. And so I don't think like we really have a lot of time to wind down our day as comics. It's like you're going out every night. So it seems like I have like a finite reserve of energy, and I get this every day, and I can kind of push past it. But the more I like push past and like go beyond the energy I have, the harder it is for me to like feel okay without like,
guilt.
like I will just feel like burnt out, ill, stressed out, like I can't focus, upset, like depressed, comparing myself to other people, like really emotionally negative, like I'm a failure, even though it's like I objectively I'm like, oh, I have such an amazing life, I'm so grateful. But if I get in this place, I'm like, well, I'm a failure.
Yes.
I'm not a writer on the Tonight Show.
Is this 3:00 in the afternoon?
Yes, I get a, and that's like, I get like a drop off. I get a drop off because I get my caffeine. I'm like, woo, here we go. And then I get a bad drop off and I'm scared.
I always say the beginning of the day, even though I know my work day starts a way later than most people, but you have so much hope in the front half.
Oh, you have so much hope.
I do a workout in the front. I maybe do a morning paper artist way, writing dump for 30 minutes. And then I feel like, oh, now I'm doing shit. And then after a while, like when I really have to start doing the work.
Yeah, then your energy's like gone. Your energy's gone.
And then I know that I'm going to have to later amp up that energy for shows. And that's I get so anxious on certain shows.
Yeah, me too.
At certain clubs that you're like, that also debilitates.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The anxiety is like just sucks your energy.
Yeah.
It's like
it's awful.
It's hard because it's like, you know, I've done a lot of like research into it to be like, is my energy level, do I just have no energy?
Yeah.
Do I just have no energy? Because, you know, like there are some people, you know, who are like, they're literally working 80 hours a week and they're like fresh as a daisy. They're like, oh, I'm just doing a lot of stuff. I'm like, that's never been me.
I actually suspect those people are on Adderall.
Oh, maybe. So it's like something's going on. But
like, does Beyonce get a 3:00 burnout? What did she do? Like,
what is Beyonce doing? Yeah, exactly.
I know because there's a lot of our peers that I'm like, when are they sleeping?
Well, I think too, it's something. Sometimes I think I'm not working enough, but maybe I'm actually working a lot.
Well,
because it's really hard to actually keep track of it when it's like, okay, well, if I'm working 5 hours in the morning and I'm working 5 hours at night, but then I'm also working, you know, all these other odd times. So I'm getting a text here and there, or like I'm thinking of a joke, I'm writing it down, or, you know, like commuting, everything. You know, I don't know how it really adds up. But I do know that especially towards the end of the year, and especially recently, I get in a burnout, and it's hard to come. Once I get to the level of feeling burnout, then I can't come back out of it. And it's really tough.
Oh, yeah. I always call it's like the law of inertia, meaning like once I'm moving, it's really hard to get me to stop.
Yes, yes.
And then like, because where's that adage of like, if you want something done, give it to a busy person.
Yeah.
It's true in my life in that aspect of like, anytime like coming back from a vacation.
Oh, that's the worst.
So hard and depressing for me.
It's scary.
I really
feel
is.
Fear.
It's like you're starting all over again.
Yeah.
The first set back after the Christmas holidays, I'm like, do I even know how to do stand up anymore?
Yeah.
In this world, I think like doing comedy or just like in the arts creative side.
Yeah.
I remember reading Kim Gordon's bio. It was really good. The basis for Sonic Youth.
Ooh.
And it was well written, and she always was in the creative arts and started later, but she said what they tell you in being an artist is that you're never done. Like you're always working.
You're always thinking.
Yeah.
I think the type of energy that you use when you do creative work is a different type of energy that you use when you do administrative work.
Yes.
Because I'll do like if I write for 2 hours, I will feel so like brain dead. But then if I just do like emailing for 2 hours, I'm like, oh my gosh, I could do this all day.
Yes. And you're like, I actually feel like I would love an administrative job. And when people are like, it's like with a lot of work, they're like, that's so mindless. I'm like, I actually really love mindless work.
Yeah.
Because I always feel like I've done something.
Yes, you're like, oh, check off the box.
Yeah. But
Meanwhile,
thinking
if
of
you
an
like,
idea doesn't make me feel like I've done anything.
well, with so many artistic pursuits too, you're like, oh, I'm writing a sketch. And then it's like, well, did I write it or is it bad? And now I have to rewrite it. And now I'm stuck in like the perfectionist loop of like, is this ever going to be good enough?
Yeah. And now I'm just like sitting on this work that's never feels like I'm going to turn it into something. And that's why with that kind of stuff, thinking I was like, I'm just going to make, and I'm not going to worry about the result.
That's what I need to do more for my TikTok.
Yeah.
But then sometimes I worry that then I'm just cranking. I'm just cranking out stuff to be like, oh, I just put out a one-liner to put out something, you know?
Yes. And have this saying that I like, like when you tried really hard to squeeze out a fart, sometimes shit will come out.
Yes. What a brilliant saying. I love that.
That like when you really try hard to like be creative and like do a perfect fart whisper,
Yeah.
you're going to shart.
Yes.
And nobody wants to shart.
And it's true. Well, that squeezing energy is not conducive to like the flow state.
No, and actually when I watch somebody do stand up, I can actually tell when that was a bit that they sat down and wrote and just pulled it out rather than it like coming organically to them funny.
Yes.
Yeah. You're like,
Well,
oh, that's just like written well, but I don't think it's that funny.
Yeah, it's like a technically proficient joke, but it doesn't have a spark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I read this book. Did I tell you about this book I read called Effortless?
No.
It's one of my favorite books. I read the other book by this same author, and it was called Essentialism, the Disciplined Pursuit of Less. And it's all about making choices in your life and focusing on a few things to really accomplish them and not be all over the place with your priorities. And then his next book, Effortless, was all about when you're feeling like overloaded, paradoxically actually cutting back, resting, getting yourself back to that like effortless state where you feel like, oh, I can do a million things, and focusing on living in that place as much as possible. Actually, you're going to be accomplishing way more than if you're like, I'm exhausted. Now I have to like I got to get a latte. I got to bust it out. I have to force myself to like do all this extra work, where it's like now me tired, this is taking like twice as long than if I would just like get a good night's rest.
Well, now like I've been in that mindset of like, I got to work. I got to, like write this and do this. Sometimes I'm like, I'm just going to go hang out with friends.
Yeah.
And just have a good time. And I feel like that's lent itself better than like forcing stuff out.
Yes.
Just to have like, just going to have a good time and just relax and not worry about this. But then I always worry when we ever talk about that. I'm like, just go hang out with your friends. And like, it also sounds like a place of privilege.
Yeah. I just go hang out, and then it's like, oh, wow, easy.
Yeah. Then I have just lunch with the ladies and...
Yeah, meanwhile, people are like working like 2 jobs.
Yeah, slaving away. Because I would have to say, like, that there are times now I don't feel bad, because just think about the days when you did your day job.
Yeah.
Straight into the night.
I know.
Of shows, and you're like,
yeah.
That was so many years of 2 jobs. I was tired.
Well, I think that's part of my issue with burnout, because I did that for years. I would get up, work, come home, take a nap, write, go out.
Yeah.
Every day. And I would come home, go to sleep immediately, and I would do it all over again. And because I was able to like kind of just push myself, that helped me for several years in my life, and it helped me kind of like get to this next level of doing stand-up. But it's actually now totally detrimental to me. These rules that I learned that helped me are now actually super detrimental. So I have to kind of like relearn these rules of like following my own energy, and especially if I'm like, okay, I'm hitting a wall, I'm burning out, instead of like trying to figure out how I can do more and how I can work more.
Yeah.
Figuring out how I can get myself back to like a flow state. If it's like, and a lot of times for me, it's just like, I have to force myself to like not drink coffee, have like a tea in the morning, and just lay in the apartment for like a full day and just do nothing. And it sucks, and it's not fun.
You don't like, sometimes when you feel like you deserve it, it's so luxurious to just
I always
sit in the apartment all day.
Well, sometimes if I'm actually get to a state of burnout where I'm totally disinterested in like anything. So it's like I'll look on TV. I'm like, I don't want to watch anything on here. I don't want to cook anything. I don't want to do anything. And I'm almost like irritable to the point that it's like, you know, like when I'm like a little bit higher than that, when I'm like, oh, I have a rest, I deserve it, I have interests, now I get to do the things that I like, but I'm getting so burnt out that like I don't even, any stimulus is actually like too much for me.
Yeah.
And it's just like, ugh. And it sucks. And I need to like not get myself to that place so I can be like, oh, I enjoy my time off now.
Yes.
You know?
Have you ever done a deprivation chamber?
I would like to try one of those.
Same.
Yeah.
I would love to know what it is to be in a blank state.
I heard it's really fun. Yeah. I just want to go just completely, because I think I get really overstimulated, especially just like being in New York. Like even walking on the street, it's like, oh, excuse me, oh, sorry, oh, there's a dog, and now I'm being attacked. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a constant you're maneuvering, swerving.
Yeah.
It's tiring for sure.
But that's my New Year's resolution, even though I really try to stick to resolutions that are like actionable. This one is like very kind of abstract, but my New Year's resolution is to like rest before I get to a point of burnout where everything stinks.
Yeah. Well, isn't there like a Buddhist saying or something where if you don't know what to do, don't do anything?
Ah, love it.
I do too. Because sometimes you feel like you have to do something, but if you don't, you can just sit there.
You can just sit there.
Yeah, and let it come to you maybe naturally.
There's such a constant pressure to be like doing. Like I even got invited to do something like tonight and I was going to go, but it's like I know I just don't have the energy for it.
Yeah.
You just only have so much energy, and when you push yourself, then you just never get that energy back. It takes like days of doing nothing to be like, okay, now I'm good again.
Yeah. But that's fine, right?
Sometimes you have to push yourself, especially with stand-up. This is the constant problem with stand-up where it's like all opportunities are like one small thing at a time. It's very piecemeal. So it's like when it rains, it rains. When it rains, it pours. That's not the saying. When it rains, it rains. I think it's raining.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I think all of it is hard. And I was just saying that with Joe the other day. Sometimes when you have to, there's two options of lines to go on.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I don't know which one is the right one.
Yeah, like I can't see into the fucking future. Okay.
And if I get into this line and I notice that it's going to take longer than this line, but it's too late to do anything about it, I get so upset about it. But it's such like a proverb.
Yeah.
In life of like, that's because I find that I never know if my choices are right.
You never, there's no way.
Yeah.
And you just agonize over, you're like, what's the right thing to do?
Yeah. And it feels like a time suck, and I don't know. But
women get burnout more too, though. Women tend to get burnout too. And I think it has something to do with one of my favorite topics, which is that women are socialized to be emotionally sensitive.
Yes.
To always be like kind of watching out to see like what somebody else is thinking, to see if we need to like make ourselves smaller to like fit in, you know?
It's tiring, and I kind of been joking about this lately. I'm like, I sometimes feel like giving up and feel like life would be easier if I just went the route of being oppressed. Of like, oh, fine, I'll just do whatever my husband wants to do, or like when you go to a diner and it has 80 choices, you're like, can I just have 2?
Yeah.
I can't handle all of these choices right now. Or
just tell me who to vote for. Just tell me.
I don't know what it just seems like a lot, but I also feel like maybe the reason why burnout for women, and I don't want to speak for all, but I also feel like I'm the one that's cleaning. There's all these little duties that I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, not to mention like appearance duties where it's like making sure you look great at, getting a haircut, getting,
Yes.
There's a lot of stuff.
It's tiring.
Getting toiletries.
Yeah. I think I would love to see the study of what our times look like, where like who's doing the most.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because I remember Nikki saying that she's frustrated that for hair and makeup is an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think for guys, it's like minutes.
Yeah, I think there's something to that where it's like even like the beauty routine of like now I'm taking an hour-long shower so I can shave my legs, but I have to exfoliate and then I have to dry my body with a hair dryer so my oil will stay. You know, it's
I
like
know. I had to wash my hair and shave my legs today, and I'm like, oh my God.
it was a lot.
It's
And-
a lot.
And then that's the stuff that's like, this is supposed to be the stuff that's relaxing me.
Yes.
And now it's like stressing me out.
It's so annoying because you're like, this is actually an hour-long process. And then I have to blow dry my hair.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know.
That's long. That's 2 hours.
Well, they say that women spend 3 years of their life in a bathroom, or maybe it's like 4 years, which is really funny because it just makes it seem like you had one major poop.
Yeah, I know. But then I swear
couldn't get out.
guys are in the bathroom for a really long time too.
Yeah.
But like for shitting.
yeah. He won't stop going in there.
Yeah.
Well, that's my New Year's resolution, which is our main topic for today. My New Year's resolution is to follow my energy a little bit better and just notice when I'm starting to get burnout and pull back from it, which I kind of did this time. I did it a little bit better. Notice, but I have started to notice, like, when I go in an emotional dip, I'm like, okay, I'm tired.
Yes.
I'm tired. I
Or if you're
just need to stop.
irritable.
If I'm irritable, it's like if any like negative emotion, it like all goes back to like, I'm tired. I'm tired.
Yeah. I know in a 12-step program too, they always talk about like when you're feeling these feelings, you have to step back and ask yourself if you're tired or you're hungry.
Yes.
Or I forgot the other one.
Tired, hungry.
Is it horny?
I don't think that's one. Am I horny right now? That's hysterical.
I can't tell if I'm hungry or horny.
Do I want to?
I'm
Yeah. Do I want a
horngry.
cocktail or am
Yeah.
I? Do I want a cock?
But a lot of the times those feelings that you're having is because you need to go drink a glass of water.
Yes, your body is like having a.
Yeah.
It's having like a reaction that's feels emotional when it's actually not.
Yeah. There also are times, have you ever had like a feeling, a response that you're having, and then when you decide to do it the next day, you realize that was a horrific idea and you're so glad that you didn't do it?
Yes.
I have that sometimes, like a tweet, and then I'm like, well, let me do it in the morning. And by the time it's the morning, I'm like, that was a really bad tweet. And
Yeah.
I'm so glad that I didn't
Yeah,
do
and
that
you
or send that
lose-
email.
When you're tired and like run down and just kind of focused on like going on endorphins, you lose that ability to be in touch with your intuition. I think. And that's
Yes.
one of the reasons that you end up keeping pushing yourself.
Yeah, when you could, just like drink a glass of water or maybe take a nap.
But the end of the year is always a time. It's always that time, I think, for everyone when it's like, okay, it's December. It's time to write a manuscript, finish my pilot, shoot a short film that I wrote, and
Yeah.
also fall in love. It's like, okay, I have 13 days. Go.
But then it also like nobody is doing anything.
Nobody's doing anything, and it's like December is like such a kind of a month of like winding down anyway.
Yeah, I always call the time between Christmas and New Year's, it's the taint of the year.
Oh, I love that. I think I've heard
Yeah.
you say that before, and I do enjoy that.
it's the little like, what are we doing? I always think that's the time of the year that we watch a shit ton of TV.
Watching TV
I
and
love
just
that.
lounging and eating and
Hoogie.
yeah, hoogie. Hoogie.
Hoogie.
But I want to talk about New Year's resolutions
Yes.
though, because mine is a little abstract this year, but this is my pet peeve with New Year's resolutions, because every year you get basically pressured into pressured by society into like creating a completely unattainable
Your new
goal.
personality.
Yeah, you're like, this year I'm gonna, lose 100 pounds or like start my own business. And then it's like you're setting
Yeah.
yourself up for failure by creating these like insane, like, and not that it's insane to start your own business or to lose 100 pounds, but it's like, if you really want to do that, that's great, go for it. But I feel like we all get pressured into like making these like, claims that we're going to like turn our lives around, and that's actually just not possible.
Oh, yeah. I feel like I think last year was the first year that I decided, instead of doing something, I'm going to stop doing things. And one was reading books.
I like that resolution. I like you're treating books like alcohol to you now. I'm in a 12-step program for reading.
Yeah, when people do like sober January or whatever, and I always joke with that one where you're like, if you're doing sober January, you have a drinking problem.
Literally, I'm on board with it. I'm on board with it. There's actually been studies that show that like people that do sober January, then like they binge.
Yeah, they
February.
go full hardcore. Yeah, in February.
They ruin Valentine's Day for everybody. Yes. Not naming names.
Just kidding. No, I do like. I think as the years have progressed, it's called acceptance, being like, I'm just not doing that anymore.
Just don't do it.
Yeah.
What a gift to yourself.
Like I do want to write a film, but if I wanted to do it, I would have done it.
Yeah, and you can do it, and you don't need to do it because it's New Year's.
Yes, and then so I've stopped being a fan of New Year's resolutions. I think it's a toxic trait
it's
or
an interesting
thing to
take
do to
on
us.
it. Yeah. Well, I have to say, like, the only New Year's resolutions that I've ever really had a success were the ones that were like so small, and it was like, this is my New Year's resolution of like, I'm going to hand wash this year.
Yes.
I'm gonna start hand washing my clothes.
I will start wiping my butt.
Yeah, like maybe and wiping. That's a big one for me.
Yeah.
But I think if we all thought of it in terms of like, what's a tiny habit that I could do that would be like a little helpful thing for me?
Yes.
Like I'm going to floss. This year I'm going to floss. Even that's a huge one. I'm going to floss twice a week or something.
I always have that, but I decided as soon as I know I have that dentist appointment, I start flossing a month beforehand, and then I'm good to go.
Oh, that's great. I just floss like twice a week.
I trick them.
Ugh,
I
did
hate
that.
It hurts my fingers.
Well, I get the little picks.
But
I get the little
even
pickies.
those, like, aren't you just putting the same food up there?
Because you got to scrape it off the sides. I have to floss. I'm a big flosser.
Oh, I do it once every now and then because I know that it needs to be checked.
Yeah, you got to check it. You got to check it.
I can't do it. It just hurts.
Oh, it's okay though.
Thank you.
Mike was like going to the dentist and he was like, I said something to him about flossing. He was like, nobody flosses anymore. Like they debunked it. They debunked it. I'm like, debunked it.
I've heard a debunking of flossing.
Well,
have I followed up on this? No.
Yeah. Well, he said it to his dentist, and they were like, yeah, they didn't debunk flossing. I don't know. And he was like, okay.
No, they've.
I saw it on MythBusters.
Don't you love it? Like Dennis, when you come in and acting like you know more than what a paid professional would do.
Yes, and I do.
Yeah.
But that is like a kind of thing, like flossing is like such a weird invention that they came up with, who knows, in like the 70s or something, where it's like they have debunked so many things. It's like, it probably does. Like one day they're going to be like, and it caused cancer.
Yeah, it does.
There's so many things like that.
It activates those cancer cells.
Activates those cancer cells.
But that's like, that always makes me laugh when it just seems like diet has changed so much.
Yeah.
They'll be like, you read like diet and exercise in this like 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Yeah, and it was like, just drink a hot cocoa. It's like, what? Yeah.
I do 5 jumping jacks in the morning and then smoke a carton of cigarettes.
Yeah.
Or like eat a baked potato if you want to lose weight. And you're like, what an insane thing. And then nowadays, like no bread. But I have to say, I've gone back on bread, and I'm a huge fan of it.
I got back on bread too. I was like doing no carbs. My face, I looked like this. I looked so amazing, but it's just not sustainable for me. It's not sustainable. I'm like, I guess I just have to deal with the way my face looks, because I gain weight here.
Me too.
I don't gain. Yeah, like how about some right here on my like flat? I'm flat chested, but yet I have like all the fat in my body is going right into my neck. And so, but you know what? It's like, what are you going to do? I guess I'm just not going to look like a supermodel. Well, which I do.
You're still hot.
Thank you. Thank you.
I've been getting Instagram ads being like, for New York City models, and I'm like, do they think I'm a model.
Do they think? Well,
I mean, it is Instagram ads. I mean, maybe my selfies have been really great lately.
yeah. Well, I'm technically a commercial model, which is someone who looks exceedingly plain. And looking exceedingly average, like a person that is a mom. I remember once on my 30th birthday, I had an audition for Plain Woman. And I was like, and I'm going into my future. I'm like taking the train like into my future. But yeah, like diet and exercise is always like the big New Year's resolution, which it's just like, that is, I find it so like counterintuitive. Like you go through this period of like indulgence. And then it's like, then you're supposed to like do a complete 180 and start like working on your summer body. It's like, I'm all of a fan of like, if you need to take drastic action, take drastic action. But it's like creating a sustainable change in your life is so much easier when you can do it by being like, okay, I'm going to be gentle with myself and I'm going to be like excited about this change.
Oh, I know. I had a friend that was our timer, and there was a guy that I worked with, and he lost a lot of weight. And I go, "What did you do?" And he goes, "I just stopped drinking soda, and I got out 2 train stops before I had to work." So he just made his steps, and I was like, "That sounds
awesome.
so manageable," rather than being like, "I'm gonna get abs in a month."
Yeah, I'm going to the gym every day the second I wake up. It's
Yeah.
like, oh God.
Because I would have that when I went on trip. I always feel like I'm going to work out every day. And I know that I eat way more when I am on trips because I'm like, I'm fucking going to eat.
Yeah, and you like you need it for like comfort because you're like in a strange place. You're like, let me just have a pizza.
Yeah.
I'm scared.
So how psychotic is it to be like, I got to wake up and run 3 miles or go to find a gym in a European hotel or
Yeah.
So,
and over exercising is like a thing.
Yeah.
It's
And
like
I always run way faster when I come back on my break.
yeah.
That having a
When you're
week
rested,
off,
yeah.
is good for your body. So
Yeah.
I feel like being a psycho of like working out and like dieting is so bad for you.
It's toxic. It's toxic, and I think you can't really do it without like being really mean to yourself.
Yeah, I also say date someone that will let you just age and gain weight.
Yes. Love your life. Love your life. Thank you, everybody, for listening to us. That's our hot take on New Year's resolutions.
Yeah, don't do them. Don't.
Really don't. But support us. Maybe your
Listen to-
resolution
yeah.
should be to support Lady Journey on Patreon.
Yes, spend more money on the stuff that you like.
And a special thank you to our amazing Patreon supporters. We have so many people supporting us on Patreon, and you guys are like really helping us stay afloat during this holiday season.
You give us purpose.
You give us purpose, and we love you so much. And I'm just rambling. I'm like, and I think I'm attracted to you.
I fucking love you guys.
Really fucking love you. And thank you for all the people that wrote reviews. So awesome of you guys, and commented and subscribed to YouTube. We're
Thank
really
you.
skyrocketing.
Lady Journey.
You guys get in on the ground floor because we're going straight to the top. Confident woman.
Lady Journey.
Bye.